Alright everyone, I fondly remember 2017 and kind of 2018, back when the missing link media pretended that alt tech was irrelevant. Then the alt tech sites started skyrocketing because the mainline Silicon Valley firms began alienating large swaths of their users, and then they started freaking out around 2018 into the present, as we'll discuss, saying, oh my god, Nazi sites are everywhere, they're empowering conspiracy theorists. They're empowering the same people that built YouTube, by the way. Conspiracy theorists, political malcontents, religious zealots, and weirdos! That's what built the internet, dude. That's what the heads of Silicon Valley were. Bill Gates was a fucking weirdo. He used to show up to boardroom meetings after having gone several weeks without showering, looking like he just crawled in from out of a box on the street, and he would do it almost as a fucking ego play. Steve Jobs was one of the most psychologically troubled individuals who's ever goddamn existed. These people built the internet that you use. It's funny because basically weirdos and malcontents built the internet, and then all the hipsters and hippies and yuppies and trust funders came along and acted like they had built it, and now are trying steadily to buy it up in the name of multinationalism. But anyway, it's funny to see Vice News, still salty at Gab. And it's like Gab actually had a slowdown there for a while, and Vice is still like pissed at them. They're like, oh my god, conspiracy theorists and Nazis are congregating on this site, but now it's growing and stuff. I remember when you said that there was no possibility it could ever compete. Oh, it's just a Twitter knockoff. Oh, it's meaningless. It's just an echo chamber of far-righters. Again, when you have a site like Gab, or Odyssey, or BitChute, or any of the others, Rumble, where you have millions or tens of millions of people using it, Parler's got to be pushing the ladder at this point, it's impossible for you with a straight face to denote that that is a cult of Nazis. It doesn't make sense anymore. Again, pointing out that people like myself are big on these sites. Libertarians. Again, the same kind of sort of vague political outcast, not part of the Republican or Democratic Party, not part of any mainline conservative or liberal movement per se. We're now the ones building alt tech. You know, they were there in the get-go, the last generation technically, late Gen X, millennials a bit older than me, were the ones that built the last wave of the web. Hell, Zuckerberg practically sounded like a libertarian at times before. Certainly Dorsey did. He still looks like one, by the way. He looks like he wanders around disheveled and high all the time. A little bit stereotypical. He looks like a fusion, he looks like a libertarian hippie. Or something like that. I don't know what that dude's game is at this point. He just fucking viscerally annoys me. But now, the next wave of social media and video hosting and everything else, and the decentralized side of things, and crypto and all that, it's a group of motley fools, it's weirdos, and stuff like that. And I don't say that as an insult. I know that I'm one of them. I'm very happy about that. Being normal must be very, very boring. It also must take a lot of effort. You know, you got to keep up with the Joneses and be more normal than them. Your dinner is unseasoned mashed potatoes from a box, of course. Box potato mix. MRE box potato is actually better than what you get at the store, by the way. Not gonna fucking lie. Unseasoned cold green peas, and then like a pork chop that might be fully cooked and edible. That's what they eat for dinner, and they do it with a shit-eating grin, too, and say words like nifty and swell. I'm sure it's how the mainliners actually live some of the time. Yes, I ridicule polite culture very much. But it's funny because Vice is ailing. Didn't they have fiscal problems and can a bunch of staff, too? So Gab's still growing, and then Vice is, oh my god, they're growing. But why do you think they're growing? How about you take a look in the mirror and try to figure out why the missing link media is crumbling? You're crumbling almost as fast as the legacy media. By the way, we've got to differentiate. Legacy media is like old wave, like newspaper, cable and stuff, pre-internet. Missing link media is mainstream media that arose post-1997. That's basically the difference. If it comes from before that, it's legacy media, it's extra corrupt, usually part of the lame establishment. Missing link media attempts to be independent, but still ends up taking marching orders because it becomes all about ideology. It becomes very partisan, religiously theocratic in some cases, and sort of more centralized. It's the counterpart to independent content creation, which is this, what I'm doing currently. Someone with an off-the-hook show, like a Tim Pool or something. Tim Pool is different from Vice News. Gavin, who was involved with the founding, is different from Salon.com. There's more independence involved. Even independent content creators that do take corporate money still have a much greater amount of latitude than someone who's under a direct, explicit contract through a multinational corporation in the most explicit, centralized sense. But Vice has been ailing. Most of the legacy media and missing link media are in decline. They're terrified, and keep this in mind. Here's the kicker. They're in decline despite the fact that virtually all mainline tech firms, the big six and all the others, favor them explicitly. YouTube explicitly attempts to drive more traffic to groups like Vice and the Young Turks and Fox News and CNN, and yet they're still losing. They're still losing market share, so to speak. The closest thing to a victory for inauthentic, astroturfed, non-grassroots material is when YouTube pays some teenager to make YouTube videos. Like, oh, we want you to make dance videos. We think that your videos are cool. It's 50 grand and a new camera. Fucking go to town and we'll pay you a stipend, basically. And that's the way they're doing it now. I guess they figured that then they could con people into thinking it was actually independent content creation. There are so many creators that are under that umbrella. YouTube has deep pockets, so they don't have a problem paying for it. It pays itself off because then advertisers, they pay back into the system. And now YouTube's not even going to pay you for half the ads that it's serving. But the alt-tech revolution has definitely begun. BitChute is almost 100% funded. Gab and Parler are skyrocketing as Twitter implodes and alienates its users over the election mainly. And they've grown large enough so that they no longer can be considered echo chambers as well. I know that leftists keep bitching and complaining, Parler bans people for their ideology. No, they don't. You can get a Parler account. Why don't you compete? Why don't you go into that free market of ideas where there's, not actual censorship happening at the behest of multi-billionaires, and why don't you throw your hat into the ring to try to become, Krasenstein-style reply guy? The Krasensteins are there. They don't bitch about, oh God, Parler is so terrible. No, they actually, to their credit, they bellied up to the bar and then they go and debate people on there, which is something that a lot of the breadliners, the skeptic formers, none of them are doing that. They would just like to bitch and complain and stay on their dying websites and not branch out at all. Oh, I can't imagine, why is it that things are slacking off? Well, you're using sites that at this point in some cases are fucking 15 years old and have been steadily denigrating themselves algorithmically and are pissing off large swaths of their user base. I don't know what career goals do you have in mind? Do you think it's a good idea not to get on alt tech at this point? Oh my God, there are people there you disagree with? Wow, that's so goddamn terrible. Dude, I use Twitter. Most people on Twitter are liberals. So fucking what? Fucking deal with it. The fire's gone out of their lives, I guess. They no longer have it in them to debate and shitpost quite so much. They'd rather just make their milquetoast memes and stuff like that. And reside in their echo chamber. They want to be comforted. They think, well, I already got big. I deserve to be comfy now. I deserve to always have this lifestyle without having to work for anything. Well, fuck you. That's not going to happen. Ha ha. That's about all. Peace out.